Aloha all, this is Samana. This is my 40th podcast. I'm calling this one Showing Up. How we show up for ourselves, therefore how we show up for other people, in the best of circumstances and the worst. Anyone who listens to my podcast or knows me knows that I teach by sharing my own experiences. And in this past week, I had a major, if I could possibly say it's my core fear or core wound that came up for me. And it was quite painful, and it was a blessing. And I want to explain it to you so that you can identify how, when process comes up, how we can really benefit from it. I believe there are techniques to use. First is always going to be acknowledging what is there, like labeling it, knowing something is off or something is up, and noticing either through sensation in your body or how the mind is fragmented, or you're uneasy, the feelings and emotions are kind of extreme, or many different things. So through that acknowledgement and labeling what it is, then using your self-care tools, hopefully you're adapting more as you go through life, because we need more, and it becomes a point where it's no longer an option of if we use them or not. We need them actually daily. So the more challenging things are, again, with this virus and this unknownness throughout the world, it's really showing up in our personal lives too. That macrocosm, microcosm reflection. So our self-care tools, my favorites are, of course, meditation, because that keeps us in the alpha state. And it helps us to be able to see, even when we are coming from the subconscious or the unconscious, even when we're triggered, that there is a speck of awareness that is always present, always showing up. And I want you to know that. So if you're a person that tends to be self-judging and beat yourself up, I want you to know, or think back to times when you have not been your best, either in your actions or any of that, but was there a speck of you aware of it? Because if we could acknowledge that our consciousness is always there and we're never alone, this ever pervasive spirit of ours that is collective, that is tuned into everybody on the planet, and well, as it's there to guide us and to keep us progressing forward and to becoming more conscious and more settled and at ease and aware. So using those tools, meditation helps you to have that witness state, to see that. And journaling, sometimes. For me, it's always been journaling since I was quite young, and I always tell clients that just journal, journal, journal. And I know a lot of people have a resistance to it, but there is a scientific studies, something about the act of writing, the old school writing, pen and paper, to see how it kind of helps to decode the brain and bring out that more other aspects of your brain than we're used to in our logical mind, the creative side of us, the less linear side of us. And then, of course, when you're triggered or when you're not in a good place, sometimes jumping around, exercising, going for a run, just so that the excess energy, the drama, that contracted, stuck energy can flow and move. So that helps us. So that first step is that acknowledging about what is. And then the second step is timing, and I call this compassionate timing. So compassionate because regardless if it's towards yourself or another person, it's actually that knowingness or more clarity of when to act or when to wait. Until our mud settles. So I've used that expression often, where it's that Tao Te Ching poem that talks about, are you patient enough to wait until your mud settles and the water is clear before acting? And I've said we all have mud. The highest beings in our life have mud, but they stay still enough and calm enough until it settles, and then we can see clearly through the water and then know what to do. So that second step is compassionate timing. And the third step is actually taking action of repatterning, making the conscious steps, making amends, showing up to yourself or to someone else if they were involved. And once the storm has passed, being able to say, okay, this is, I apologize for this action, or this is what was happening with me, and this behavior triggered this, like just more of an explanation, and then going forward and making agreements about how we will go forward, if that's with another person or with yourself. You could write a contract or an agreement to yourself. When this happens, this tends to be a hot spot for me or a painful area. And so I'm going to be kinder in these circumstances because this may rear its head again. Things like that. So now I'll tell you my story. I'm not going to get too much into the details except that I was planning an event and I was very excited about it. And it was agreed upon with more than myself involved, but not too many. We were still keeping our social distancing and being appropriate and hygienic. And anyways, and then someone contacted me and said, okay, I know we had this planned for a couple weeks, but I need to take this day and this isn't going to happen. And if I were coming from a centered, balanced place and something like that happened, I would just say, that's not what we agreed on, and either way I'm having this event, I'd love to have you, and I'm very disappointed. But I was not in that place. Could it be because I'm constantly researching and reading about the virus and the progressions and the deaths and the shutdowns and the sadnesses and clients and friends calling and everyone's pain and their loss and the deaths in their life and so many things? It just wasn't, I wasn't able to act appropriately, so I reacted. I did not check in that moment, and I started my defense texting, we could say. Then I actually called, and I was aware that I was so tight. So I was aware that my stomach was so tight, and I felt so constricted and so controlled and everything that I could not keep my voice calm. I could not keep from swearing. All of my modes of my most unconscious, painful behaviors that I'm not so proud of, but I'm human, and it was there. And so I texted some more unkind things of finalizing the relationship. That's it. I never want to see you again. And then proceeded to cry a lot and started looking at things. And in that moment, because I was aware of, okay, I knew I was in a very numb place. My body was numb, so I couldn't quite feel except the pressure on my heart. And I was also aware that I'm not thinking clearly, because when we're in a traumatized state, regardless if it's from our past that it's reactivated or something that's presently happened that traumatizes, our mind fragments and it does whatever it can to compensate. And that could be block information out, it could be to rewrite it and distort it, it could be so many different things. And I was aware that my mind was fragmented and I couldn't see clearly. So with that, I kept trying to breathe, notice, inhale, exhale, and just really trying to stay present, stay grounded in my belly. And I also was bringing that tenderness to my inner child, where I was trying to hold myself, where my arms were literally like around my belly, and I was holding myself as if I was this little girl in a lot of pain. And during this time, doing those little things, even though I wasn't shifting from the pain, I wasn't able to change it, there was so much potency in what was being offered and shown to me. And what was being shown to me was all of these scenarios from when I was a baby and a young child, that it was like one movie snippet after another, all coming to my awareness, because that pain was so old in me that with it comes the programming, let's say, the events that programmed a belief. Therefore, that pain within our beings, within our bodies. And I also knew, as much as I wasn't able to navigate between the people that were involved in this and what was happening to me now, I had this deep gratitude. And I shared with a good friend of mine who is a counselor. After I called and said I need a session, I was very much aware that I could not go further in my fragmented mind. But I said, I need help with this situation and how to speak and the steps and what my rights are. But more so, I don't want to move through this too quickly, because I've never been so aware of this core pattern, this pain, so clearly in my entire life, and I'm in my 50s. So I knew this was a gift, like the universe, God, whoever, Jesus, Buddha, all of them were saying, you have an opportunity to see what runs you, like what is at the core of your belief systems that have prevented you from feeling love, feeling connection, going forward, feeling worthy of value, all of those things. Because what was coming up for me was that I'm this outsider, that I am not connected, that I'm not of value, that I'm not worthy, that I'm low on the totem pole, and if something happened to me, what would matter? Who would really, they'd be sad for a little bit, but I'm no significant point in any one person's life. And those were all the thoughts that were coming up. So those aren't clear thoughts, and those are thoughts, unfortunately, that people that actually do decide to end their life, that is where their mind is stuck in, that it gets trapped in this falseness, in these fragments of ideas and overwhelming of thoughts and things that are reinforcing the pain that they're feeling and why this is so. But that part, this podcast is called Showing Up, that speck of awareness that is always present, even under the most painful circumstances, the deepest loneliness, the anger raging, the grief that's endless tears. There's always a speck of witnessing, watching, and present, non-judging, compassionate, tender. And that is the part we want to cultivate in ourselves, so that we're never too far gone, that we do get stuck, that we do go in a direction of no return. So the part about that acknowledgement, that first step, where I knew that I had blind spots and I knew I needed help, and called my friend and said, I need a session. And that was a humbleness. You have to remember, I've counseled for so many years. I pride myself on my awareness and my insights and my clarity, but this was my pain, and we all have our blind spots. So wisdom is in knowing when you are in your blind spot. I also had a conversation this week with someone that, a young guy that's very sensitive, very wonderful with dealing with a lot of trust issues, wondering could he ever love again or trust anyone again. And I said, well, trust comes from within. So when we trust ourselves 100%, meaning I trust that how I take in information and stimulus and how I read other people, I trust that to the best of my ability, and that is why I'm going to trust others. So there are tools that we can do to help. So if we think of our being as this complex circuitry of the thinking brain, we have the thinking brain from the actual physical brain, we have the feeling brain, which is our heart, and we have our gut, which is our discerning brain. And there is an exercise you can do if you'd like to do this now. This helps clear out your circuits. So when we're a series of electromagnetic systems, we're a series of blood flow and lymph and neurons and water, fluids, and so many things that are pulsing throughout our body. The breath moves, our circuitry. But when it gets tight or tangled or distorted, blocked, then our ability to show up and be present and to be clear in our feeling and our thinking and our discerning gets distorted. So a daily practice you can do is take one hand as if it's receiving, but your fingers are close, your forefingers are together, and put it at the base of your skull, your occipital ridge, and take the other hand and tap at the top of your head, at the crown of your head, and just tap, 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 tap as you breathe in and out. And now over the heart, tap. So your hand is still on the back of the neck, but your other hand is tapping over the heart, and you're breathing in and out. And now over the gut. Breathing in and out, tapping. And now move the hand that was on the base of the neck 2 fingers up so it's on the back of the head, and tap with the other hand, the left hand, on the tap, breathing in and out on the top of the skull, breathing in and out over the heart, breathing in and out over the gut. Now move the hand that's on the head at the top of the head, tapping at the front lobe, breathing in and out, over the heart, breathing in and out, over the gut, tapping, breathing in and out. Take a couple deep and cleansing breaths. See how your circuitry feels. See how your system feels. See if there's any ease or any more flow, or if there feels like there's spaciousness and movement now. And if that exercise works for you, use that on a regular basis. Make that part of your meditation, part of your exercise, part of your being outside. That only took a moment to do that. So, back to my story. I had my friend helping me. I told the details through tears, through anger, through crying. And I also was saying that I don't want to miss this time because I've never seen this so clearly in my life, these patterns of feeling like the outsider, feeling of no value. And I had experiences from my past to support that belief system and that view, and to see how I believed that were true. But the fact that it's coming up now, it means my being is ready to release that. It no longer needs that belief system or that pattern, or it's no longer serving me for what I wish to bring into my life, what I am bringing into my life, how I want to repattern that. So I feel like, so that happened on a Thursday, And by Saturday, felt like light years have passed, felt like so much process, so many eons have passed, and I felt so clear and centered and aligned, and made amends, and contacted the people that I didn't behave so highly with and said, I'm sorry, this is what's happening, and made an agreement to have a further discussion, to have agreements in the future when this circumstance comes up, since I need that for myself and I need that with other people that matter to me, just so that I know that we're on the same page. And I don't want my old pattern to be a reflection of or a filter of how I see things when we are in times that we have to be present, that we have to adapt to new circumstances as our children grow older, as we have new needs and other needs of safety. So many things matter there. So all of that is important. And just so you know, during that time, because this had to do with another individual, I was being offered where they were going to come over and we were going to have a discussion. But this was on Friday, where I was still in the crisis of it, still in the trigger of it, and knew that my mind was not clear, my heart was not clear, and my mechanism when I am in a unsafe place is anger and defensiveness. And I didn't want to be in anger and defensiveness. I want to be in clarity, and I want to be in integrity, and to be able to listen. And there was no space to listen. And the offer was that this person would show up with their friend. And I said, I could do this with you one-on-one, but if you brought your friend, I would feel ganged up on, and that would reinforce the feeling of being the outsider, like you had someone that you were, of the same like mind, and I'm the outsider. And I said, and there's no way that I'd be able to be calm and not react. There's no way I have the space for it, so I'm sorry. And my friend helped me see that, and for me to see that, that was so compassionate. That was compassionate timing. That was a major breakthrough, because I tend to always want to connect and acknowledge, and yes, whatever the person needs, I will be there, I'll show up, I'll stay in integrity, I'm never going to run away. But you understand, I wasn't in a place that I could have, and I knew the circumstances were going to cause me more pain, and I wasn't capable of being balanced or being the kind, compassionate person that I normally am. So that was big, and I was very proud of myself. And so I do plan on having that meeting this week, that agreement, so that in the future we can hold this and honor each other's space, and that's beautiful. I'm grateful to my friend who was there for me, as I am there when any of you out there need me. This is the time, like, to really know when we're in a blind spot, find someone that you value and listen to them, and ask for feedback, or say, I just want to be heard, and can you listen to me and tell me what you heard? And then at some point, if you want, you could say, can you give me feedback more than what I said? Is there, can you do more questioning, open-ended questioning, so that we could unravel this more, because I didn't get to the core yet. So my showing up, I'm fairly aware at seeing what's happening, but I was seeing so many things at once that I just needed to give it time so it could settle, and I feel new. And again, how new and how is that repatterned? I don't know yet, and we don't know when we're coming out of a process until enough time passes. I mean, it's been a week and a day. No, it hasn't even been a week, okay? It's been 6 days. This happened last Thursday. I'm doing this recording on Wednesday. So again, dog years, it seems like so much time has passed. But I'm finding, as I was walking in the park yesterday, and as I'm sitting outside right now, and you could probably hear the birds, and the sun is on me, and my wind chimes are there. So this is my outdoor podcast, which I love that, that I'm seeing there's this tenderness that I'm giving myself. There's this, like, my heart is soft and fluffy, and this vulnerability that I'm really acknowledging and allowing to be there and not trying to fix it. So with all of us in these times, most people that I'm talking to, friends or family or counseling, is it's really important that we allow whatever is authentically showing up. If it's ugly, if it's uncomfortable, if it's painful, if it's joyous, not to feel guilty that it's joyous. You can grieve and feel a moment of gratitude or joy all in the same space, in the same breath, in the same day, and not feel guilty about it. If you're feeling guilty because you have a job, because you are moving forward and other people have no way to feed their kids, or are afraid of, they have no way to protect because there's so many people living in one home, and what if one person gets the virus, they'll all go down. Like, there's so many feelings going on out there, and to just be kind and compassionate and show up to yourself to say, this is okay too. And label it and find someone to share it with. And if you don't have anyone to share it with, then journal it. Journal, this is what's up today, as I said in the last podcast. Checking in when you wake up, part of your journaling. Who am I today? And what do I need, and what's happening? All of that matters to stay there, because it doesn't stay long. It does actually, everything has a cycle, everything is impermanent, and this too shall pass. All of that does pass. So keep up your journaling, keep up your meditation, know when you need help. Again, I always offer counseling services. I'm doing sliding scale, whatever you can offer. If you still have a job and things are good, then I'm 2 sessions for $150. If you are without work, make me an offer. Contact me, 808-283-7587, or you could text or call, or Samana, SAMANA, at spaluna, SPALUNA.com. And David Garrison and I, we had our meetup last week online, our Zoom meetup for Be a Relationship Architect. And if you want to join our group on Facebook, we're posting relationship articles, several in a week. And it's always, again, the answer is showing up for yourself, the self-care tools, and how we treat ourselves, how we respect ourselves, how we trust ourselves, how we are kind to ourselves, how we don't push ourselves, how we can be soft even when we're not so proud of our behavior in this moment, and still be gentle and be that compassionate authority to ourselves that, I see you're having a hard time. I see you're overdone right now. I see you haven't slept well. I see that you don't know right now. All of those things. So be that for yourself, and then you will know that energy and how to put that for someone else when they come to you and when they need you. And this is about us trying to stay as balanced as we can in these times. And so we are going to, join us on Facebook, and we are going to do another Zoom meeting. And again, that one's for donation. It could be $10 or nothing. You'll get your link either way, whatever you can afford, and share with friends. We had 12 people last Thursday. It was very wonderful because we come up with questions. We show you some communication styles, and then we put you in chat rooms. And the feedback I had was everybody was quite excited about it. And for some people, they were used to that type of connecting and interacting. And reflective listening, and for other people it was new for them, and it was, the soul like lightens up and gets happy, because it's like, wait a minute, this is soul food. This is feeding me on a different way than the Western mundane world has fed me for so many years. So for any of you interested, please join us or contact me, and I could let you know how we're going to do that. And many blessings. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale, and do your best. Blessings and aloha.